All right. Hello. Welcome to the Seeking Context podcast. This is Justin, and my guests this week are Gina Nebesar and Emma Doggett Neergaard. And we were all classmates at Harvard Business School. We met 12 years ago in August of 2008. And the title of this episode is Great Expectations, because Gina and Emma and I were all single at the time, or we didn't end up with the people we were with at the time, if you had secret boyfriends, and then got married and started families. And Gina has since co-founded a company that helps mothers get pregnant and get through their pregnancy, and Emma has used that app. And we're going to talk about what it's like going through a pregnancy using technology and seeing your friend kind of help you through it. And as well, we're going to start out talking about why people go to business school and what they get out of it, and if it helped them or just put them in debt and they regret it. And so anyway, Gina and Emma, welcome.
Thanks.
I want to start out with just talking about like your life before we met. So Gina, you were in aerospace, right, before business school, and then what made you think, hey, I want to make it? And you didn't stay in aerospace, so I assume you went to business school for a change. But tell me what was going on at that point in your life.
Yeah, so before school, I had studied engineering, and then was since running a production line at an aerospace firm making hardware for satellites.
You were in charge?
I was in charge of about 50 people doing manual assembly on an assembly line. And at that point, really knew I wanted to start my own business. So very boring reason for going to business school. I thought I'd go and get business skills. I thought, maybe if I want to start a business, I should learn something about accounting or marketing, or, know how to price something. So applied to business school with the very utilitarian reason of wanting to get a business education. But knew I wanted to start a business then. I remember putting it into the application, even the business plan, or idea rather, like rough idea.
Cool. And Emma, you were at Teach for America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, so I assume you had a different objective, but I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah, well, I was living in South Texas on the Mexican border, working for Teach for America. I was running the regional site there, and I wanted to go to business school because I felt like, gosh, I know a lot about nonprofits in South Texas in education, and I don't know much about anything else. And I wanted to kind of expand my horizons and sort of hear what people were thinking and talking about when they talked about businesses and running things. So I went to kind of expand my horizons. And I'm from Boston, so I also wanted to ideally come back a little closer to home.
So meaning you went to business school to understand what business people think, even though you didn't want to start or be in the business world directly. Is that?
Yeah, I wasn't sure really where I wanted to go with my career, but I knew that I wanted to understand how organizations and systems worked. And I felt like I needed to understand that both in the private sector as well as the public sector in order to be sort of well-rounded and understand like the best of what was out there.
Cool. And so Gina, what about you? When you got there, what was it like what you thought?
No, not at all. I mean, I don't know how about you two, but when I got in, I thought I had just gotten this like ticket to the moon. So excited. I felt just really lucky. I knew that, there's probably 10 other people that could take any of our places. But what Emma went there for was what I think I was surprised to learn. I was so shocked when I got there about how much of the experience was about learning how to think and learning how operations worked and just learning from other people. I was so overwhelmed by the people that I met. I even remember meeting you two. I remember you, Emma, talking about your job in class and how you wanted to go into education. And I just was so inspired about thinking about education at scale. And then Justin, I remember you telling some story about some business you had started when you were 12. I don't want to say what you were selling because it's kind of, I think it might might be kind of naughty. Was it fireworks?
Fireworks. They're not naughty. They're explosive things that celebrate the birth of our country.
Not in Massachusetts.
I know.
At the time, but I remember being just so impressed. Like, that guy takes risks. He's going to do something special. I was like, I'm going to watch what that guy does afterwards. I was so impressed.
Cool. So the things that you taught or were learned were different than what you thought you would.
I think so. I didn't know. I thought I would just be learning, like, going there for the education. I'm going to learn about accounting. I'm going to learn about finance, and just with the Socratic method and the case method about just training your brain how to think. I think even now, 12 years later, I still apply some of the ways that the approaches that I had learned at HBS. I don't know, did you feel that way, or did you? You're like, no, it was worthless.
I agree. I mean, I think that like way of thinking, but also the sort of thinking on your feet with limited information. I feel like that's been really helpful to me, to be able to sort of have to have some sort of opinion or ask good questions when you don't really know the whole story. We just did that like every single day. And sometimes it was annoying, like people were making stuff up. And sometimes it was like a really good, you're on the spot and you had to say something that sounded intelligent. But I definitely, I don't know if you all know this, but I applied to HBS twice, 2 years in a row, and I didn't get in the first year. No. And I really, really wanted to go. So I waited a year and applied again. Mm-hmm. And I was really, really excited when I got a spot that second year, and sort of knew like how hard it was to get in. I was like, I gave it a good shot the first time and wasn't good enough. So, I was like really excited to be there, but it was a major culture shock for me. I mean, I did not understand what anyone was saying for probably 2 or 3 months in class, because they were like, it took me a really long time to figure out what like P and L was. I was like, what do they keep saying? P and L. I'd never heard of that before. And I don't know. I remember meeting you, Justin, at analytics at the boot camp before everyone got there. And I was like,
people they knew that we knew nothing.
Yeah.
2 weeks prior.
I was so relieved. I'm like, oh gosh, there are all these other people also who are coming in with like no understanding of the business world, and just really interesting people. I think I was pleasantly surprised by everyone I met. I kind of thought like, oh, maybe it's all full of like people who are sort of very don't care about the world, or like don't care about making things better. And that was totally wrong.
Right, it's only half of them.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, but not all.
Emma, I remember in those classes where people would take it to the next level in terms of their financial situation. And I brought that up to one of our professors. It's like, I am not following. No. And I remember the professor said, that's them, not you.
I should have asked. I just assumed it was me. So I was like,
our goal is to bring it back.
Are you talking about Adam Nebesar?
I'm talking about my husband.
Yes.
Every time Adam talked, you were lost.
Yeah, if he raised his hand, you knew, well, I don't. Hands down.
Yeah, I sat behind him. His hand was up the whole time.
So Emma, you went, tell me about the company you work for now, because you've been at the same company since we left, right?
Since we left. So I work at an organization called Achievement Network, and we work with schools and school systems around how to provide really equitable, high quality instruction to kids across the systems. And we work in urban and rural schools across the country. It's national. When I joined, it was pretty small organization. So I joined at the point where we were serving maybe, 100 schools. We're now serving almost 1,000. So it was definitely like a trajectory of growth. And I was really excited about that. So I sort of wanted to join an organization that was doing something that I knew would be impactful, because I'd been a teacher and I looked at what ANET was doing and said, that would have been really helpful for me. And then also saw an organization that was really positioned to grow and make an impact in more places.
So how does it work? So a school hires you and then they get better? Like what happens?
That's the ideal. So we're like external consultants essentially. So we have a team of really amazing coaches who coach school principals, and they coach district leaders. They themselves have often been principals, so they're coaching from a orientation towards what's going to be best for every kid in the building and how do I build the capacity of the leadership in order to make that happen. And then we also have instructional materials. So we have a series of assessments in math and reading that are given to students that help teachers really understand, like, what do their students know, what do they not know against the standards, and help them kind of piece together, well, how do I best serve each kid in my class based on where they're at. And we help the principals help teachers understand, like, how to use that information, as well as how to set up systems and structures and professional learning within their school to overall improve the quality of education.
So that sounds professionally satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. And I think, especially in this past, the past year has been just so challenging for schools, for educators. And we've been really humbled, I think, by how the schools that we work with continue to ask for our help, even in this really challenging time when there's so many, public health issues to think about and school reopening. Our partners are coming back to us and saying, can you help us, still? And we've had to adjust and grow a lot as an organization with new ways of supporting, new products, new things that help schools in this particular moment. So it's always changing. And it has, I mean, this been pretty dramatic this last year, but education's constantly changing. In the 10 years I've been there, we've changed a lot in order to best support schools and sort of what they need in the moment.
Yeah. And so you believe that your business education was helpful in getting the job, but then actually doing it.
Yeah. Cool. I think, I'm on the leadership team of the organization. I manage a team across a lot of different functions. I actually manage an engineering team and a team that works on product, and I manage a team that does professional development. And I feel like my job now is sort of across so many different domains. And I saw many of those in different cases that we read in business school in some way, as well as now have friends who've been able to help me in like all these different things. Like when I started supporting engineering and product, like Gina, I remember talking to you about, how do you find a good product manager? What does a good product manager even do? Like, how should I understand this job? And that's been enormously helpful, because I wouldn't have known anyone who's a product manager if I hadn't have gone to HBS.
Right. What about you, Gina? You started a cool, kick-ass vending machine company when we graduated, and you did it, right? You started a job. How did that go? Or you started a company, I mean.
It was great. It's a little different than what I did before school, and a little different than what I'm doing now. But like Justin, started a company out of business school in my second year. And it was, at the time, really exciting and novel. We were selling electronics out and apparel out of these touchscreen vending machines that took credit cards, which was a crazy idea at the time. And now you can get a COVID test out of a vending machine at the airport. So it was really exciting. I certainly couldn't have done it without HBS. I leaned on professors. I remember I got a scholarship to be able to do it and not pay my loans for a year. But I don't know if I would have been able to do that without the education.
Right. You really, you designed a vending machine and made one, right? Or you had it made.
We bought a vending machine off the market, and then we essentially hacked it to think, use a touchscreen so that when you pressed, blue t-shirt and medium, it thought, E7 would pick up the soda. So, and we put the vending machines in airports and train stations, and I was, in the evening up all night trying to get it to work. It was a very scrappy early.
You were an entrepreneur. Yeah. And then was Ovia Health your next thing, or did you have something in between?
No, went right from there to Ovia Health. I had, I was immediately after just met my two co-founders, and I think I met them on a Friday afternoon. They said, "Why don't you come Monday at 9 a.m. Come work with us for free."
Paris just said, "Come work for us for free." Is this Paris?
And from then it was, within a couple of weeks we were working together. decided to make it official and became a co-founder of the business.
Cool. And was that like Paris's idea, or like did they just have some concept and you were in the idea stage? How did that all come together?
So I'm head of product for the organization. And then, the head of technology, my co-founder, he was getting his PhD in statistics. So for those that don't know Ovia Health, it's a women's health and technology company. It helps people navigate their journeys through their fertility, pregnancy, and parenthood. We currently sell to large health plans and employers to do kind of their clinical management for maternity and help employers, support parents returning, back to work after maternity leave. It supports millions of people every day. But at the time when we got started, it was fertility. It was solely to help. It was the first company to use data science to predict someone's ovulation, to apply that to a reproductive data set. So it got started with my co-founder, Alex Barron. He and his wife were trying to have a family and start a family. And he was getting, a degree in statistics and thought, I'm going to write an algorithm to predict her ovulation. So it's very romantic. And then, he worked on it. He built the algorithms. It worked. They had a baby. And ultimately, he met my other co-founder and myself. And we thought, this is amazing. We could take this and apply it to all of reproductive health or maternal health. There's so many conditions from, infertility to preterm delivery to maternal mortality that could be prevented if people were given more accurate insights about their health. But it really just started with that one idea back then of, writing an algorithm to predict ovulation.
That's pretty cool. And today, millions of people use it, right?
So we've served about 15 million people. I joke that if you've met a baby recently, it might even be a baby. And then we work with some of the biggest health plans and employers in the country, and it's I like Emma, very rewarding. I don't feel like there's a greater good than helping moms. Giving kids healthier moms and happier families. So it's a very motivating business to be a part of now. I think 9 years later.
Yeah. So you've been on the whole journey with Ovia was 9 years, right?
It's about 9 years. I stopped counting after 5. I think after 3. What's the statistics that most businesses don't make it after 3 years? So after 3, I was like, we made it.
You're good.
Right.
Counting.
Yeah, and in that time, so both of you have become mothers yourselves. Gina, so I know you went through this process where you recorded videos of your pregnancy while you were pregnant, and now that's part of the app, right? That's part of the Ovia app. Was that your first pregnancy, or when you actually videoed it, or was that your second? I don't really know how that went down.
It was my first pregnancy, so about 6 years ago. And it's funny now, these videos have been viewed over 50 million times at this point. And so I'll get people on the train station going, why aren't you pregnant? I don't understand. I just saw you on the app. You liar. But it's funny if you're pregnant on Ovia and you're 20 weeks pregnant, you'll get the video in your feed of me at 20 weeks pregnant talking about what to expect that week. And Justin said you watch the videos, but is that true?
Yeah, every week.
Emma never told me this. I was like, oh, thanks.
What was funny is that I love the videos. I looked forward to them every week. I would watch Gina, and because we were in quarantine for a lot of my pregnancy, it was kind of lonely. So I felt like there's Gina talking to me. And what was hilarious is I thought I had told you I was pregnant because you were talking to me about your pregnancy in the app. And then when we were on our HBS class reunion, I think that was in June, I remember telling you that I was pregnant because my daughter was born at the end of August. And you were like, oh, congratulations. And I was like, oh, right. I've only been talking to you through the app. I haven't actually talked to you about this in real life. The videos are great.
And so, I've never been a mother. So what do you learn from the videos? How is it helpful?
Well, Gina always starts the videos with showing you how big is your baby that week by displaying some fruit or vegetable that is comparable to the size of the growing baby. So I also thought that was great. And then you get like a high and a low of your week of pregnancy, and other tidbits, products you liked.
So you're looking forward to it every week. You're like, oh
yeah, it was great.
That's cool. Gina, what kind of feedback have you got from people that have watched them or used the app?
Well, no, it's funny what Emma said about being in the pandemic and being alone. That's the number one thing I hear from people. Even before that, the messages I get are, I had one actually a week ago from someone. She's like, I got pregnant. I'm a teen pregnancy. I don't know anyone that's pregnant. I feel so alone. So just having you just feels like I have this friend that go through this with me. And that has been consistently the most common type of feedback. And now, especially during the pandemic, when you can't see other people, that people feel like they have at least somebody to go through this whole experience with.
That's
and we take it for granted because we know all these people having kids, and but so many people don't. So many people, they're the only one or the first one that has experienced it.
Yeah.
And now, Emma, actually, I don't know if I've told you, I'm 6 months pregnant now.
No, congratulations.
I've been watching the videos with my kids.
You're watching your own videos?
I'm watching it. Oh, it's kind of weird. But now they every week are like, is there a new video? What's the size of the fruit, of the growing fruit?
Exactly, the growing fruit.
That's
kind of meta.
I know, it's funny. It's like, I'm trying to explain it. I'm like, Hazel, this is you. And she's like, did you film it, Mom?
And Emma, you said that you also used the fertility part the before you got pregnant. And so
I used the fertility one.
Yeah. So how does that work? You said you didn't have trouble getting pregnant, but you still used it. So what is that like?
So being the business school graduate that I am and loving data, I figured, okay, well, here's an app that actually applies like data and science to fertility. And it tells you, it's like a calendar basically with all sorts of information you can enter and tips about fertility. But I used it to sort of figure out, okay, well, when am I most fertile? Like, what's the cycle look like? And it was very accurate. It worked.
That's cool.
And then once you get pregnant, you graduate to the pregnancy app, and then Gina starts talking to you on videos.
Cool. So it's like the bonus level.
It's like download the next level.
Cool. Gina, is that fertility? Like, where do most of the women end up using? Is it pregnancy, or is it fertility, or is it everything? How does the business really work?
It's everything. It's I think a lot of people assume it's people. Like you just assumed, like it's people who have trouble, but it's not. It's anyone. It's not just for people who have trouble, because I don't know. I mean, how you feel. I think you go your whole life trying not to get pregnant.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden you want to.
And all of a sudden you're like, I want to get pregnant now. And then you don't notice a lot. You realize you don't know as much about. At least what I hear is you don't know as much as you think you do, and that there's only a few days of your cycle you can conceive, and then a lot of people are coming off birth control for the first hormonal birth control for the first time, and like, oh, I have really irregular cycles or painful periods. So, and kind of recognizing early symptoms of conditions that might affect their fertility. So it is very useful, even if you're not even trying to get pregnant. I think about 30-40% of people on it aren't even trying to get pregnant. They're just trying to understand their bodies, and then, but it's pretty even of those trying to get pregnant. And then we also support new parents too, as well.
Oh, you do? So it continues on, like how to deal with a 6-month-old or a 1-month-old and education?
I should download that one now.
You can in the beginning you can track your breastfeeding or diapers, and then it's every day just information about their development or health and safety. It's the whole experience is very like health and I hear a little baby.
You can hear her, yeah. I think she just woke up.
It's very health and safety focused about understanding your patterns as a baby. Does that cry mean that she's hungry? Or
yes, it does.
Do we need to terminate this interview?
No.
Okay.
My husband's on it.
All right, cool.
You can invite your husband to it.
So how has since we met, now you've started families, you got married. Gina, I was at your wedding. I missed yours, Emma. But has getting married and starting a family and continuing on in your careers, have your priorities changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been interesting actually coincide because I actually got married last year too. So it was all, I got married, a baby, pandemic, a lot of things changed. And one thing that I feel like I used to travel like a lot for work. And I used to get like really excited to travel. And that was like a really exciting part of my job, is seeing schools all over the country and traveling. And I don't know, I mean, it's hard to tell because it's coincided with obviously no travel for the last, year-ish. But I definitely feel more like I want to be at home than I used to. Like I'm not as excited, even when things open up, to necessarily like get on a plane and go to other parts of the country for extended periods of time. So I feel like that has changed in my priority. So we'll see when things open up and my daughter's older and how I feel. But that sort of very tangibly felt different for me in the last few months.
Yeah. How about you, Gina?
I mean, I'm in a little different situation where I think having kids helped me in my particular career. And then starting the organization, I've had a big hand on and making it a place where people, are celebrated for having kids, and it's very flexible for all people, regardless if you have kids or not. I think my prioritization has changed. I don't know if you've noticed. I feel like I get so much more done now in a short time, like because I no longer have my weekends and my evenings and all this to like. Oh, if I don't get to it, I could just do it on Saturday afternoon or tonight. So in some ways, it's affected me there. But overall, I think I just have different expectations of what between work or in home. Like I think some days I'm like, oh, I was a really good mom today or a really good professional today. Never both. And I'm completely okay with it.
Like you only have bandwidth to be a good mother or a good person at work. That's one per day.
No, I think it's I don't know if you feel that some days you feel like, oh, okay, I was really good at work today, but I missed dinner, I missed this. Mm-hmm. But I was like really there for my kids, but then I couldn't go to this work event. But I don't know, at some point I just realized that everybody at work thinks I'm great and respects me and aren't thinking the same thing. And then my kids love me no matter what. So I just let go of any sort of feeling like I needed to constantly balance or weigh one against the other or change my priorities. I just changed my perspective, I guess.
Yeah, I've only been back at work for a month since my maternity leave. So it's like all new to me trying to figure out, okay, how do I balance the time? But I am like definitely more focused during my work time than I used to be because I'm like, we got to decide this now. Yeah, I'm not going to like go away and do more research. Like we got to figure it out now. And we have I have two stepdaughters who are older, who are 8 and 9, and they're in school, and so school has been remote a large percentage of the time. So there's also been like balancing their school here during my maternity leave, and then now going back to work. My husband's on leave, so he's taking care of the baby full time, which I feel really grateful for. But so it's like constantly changing, and I feel like that's also something that I've learned. Like as a new mom, it's like it's always changing. Like it's not like, oh, I finally figured out her sleeping and now it's gonna be fine. It's like, no, I'm never gonna figure this out. She'll grow, she'll change, she'll tell me what she needs, and I actually feel like that's been great for me at work because it's like carried over into my work. I feel like I've been a little bit more understanding and flexible and like, oh, okay, we'll figure it out than maybe I would have been before because I now have this baby experience that's just like a totally different kind of experience where I'm like learning about this baby and how to best be a great mom for her.
Yeah, that's cool. You're conversation just made me think a little bit about coaching. I have a personal coach now, an executive coach for reals. And I always thought that was the dumbest. I was like, who would get a coach? And I thought personal training was dumb because if I don't experience it, I'm like egotistical or something. And now I realize how great it is. And it's got, Gina, your app and your company is kind of helping coach people through their experience. And I was curious if that's kind of one way you view it. And also, like, similarly in your own careers, like, do you have other mentors that help you figure out how to deal with like all the competing demands on your time?
On the first one, it's absolutely that. I mean, when we work with a health plan, we will assign each person on the platform a kind of dedicated team of specialists and health coaches, from baby sleep counselors to lactation counselors and pregnancy coaches, that are there to, help them with every decision from like birth control after baby to breastfeeding. And but it's funny, I do tap into them quite a bit, but I too haven't had. I've had the ability to do the executive coach many times, like a sponsored ability, and chosen not to do it at a time. But I'm curious, Emma, if you've ever done that.
I've had 2 different executive coaches in the last 10 years. Different, but like both really, really helpful at different points in my career. I think the first one was at a point where I was beginning to manage more of a team and sort of was more of a coach around like management and interpersonal like relationships and management and how to motivate a team and build a team. And then my second coach was more like strategic, like how to think about building out a sort of business line and how to think about the strategy of the work. And both were kind of, I think maybe almost a year each at different points. But I thought they were great. It was great. It was kind of like a professional therapist, like someone who you could kind of go to and share all your problems, and they weren't judging you, or, they didn't know anybody else in the office. So there was no like, there was no preconceived notions. And then they were like really helpful. They often went and talked to people on the team or learned other contexts to give me feedback. So I appreciated both of those opportunities.
That's cool. So is that a person that like the Achievement Network, they have internal people that coach people when they start a new position, or did they go out and get this person for you?
We do have people who coach when people start a position, and we also do coaching right as part of our work. But in this case, this was an external person two different external people who I got, was fortunate enough to get some professional development dollars to pay for, to have as like my own professional development.
Yeah, they're not inexpensive resources. No. I'm like, my company has no revenue and I'm paying for a coach. The numbers don't add up, but they will someday.
But hopefully it'll pay off.
It will. It actually is very, very helpful. Like, I've made way more progress, and you get a perspective from somebody that, has a different skill set, a different set of network. And it's kind of like going through an MBA coach or an MBA program while you're actually doing a startup.
Yeah. So. And especially as an entrepreneur, you don't have like a manager or someone who's like charged with supporting you in your growth as a professional. Like, I've always had wonderful managers who have really helped me to grow as well, but you're starting something from scratch. You're it. So
yeah, that's cool. So Gina, are you at Ovia this is it? This is like your guys are going to go public, and that you never have to get another job?
I mean, I hope it's no. I've always thought about it in terms of I'm there until, I think that where the company is there until every kind of major condition we've tackled. Yeah. So once we help people through menopause, once we help people through other conditions that, adversely affect women or children. So that's what keeps me motivated, is kind of like the next condition area or the next life stage that we could support a person on. But I'm still very motivated, even after eight years or so.
That's really exciting. So you you have to stay there long enough to do the videos for menopause.
That's what I've actually just. I've actually said, like, I'm doing the menopause videos for Ovia.
She has a long tenure here.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It's not that.
I'll look forward to this.
You first. Emma, what about you? Are you going to stay in education? Do you want to quit working altogether and just be a mom?
No, I mean, I'm really motivated too by what I do. I mean, the inequities in education that we're trying to tackle are pervasive, persistent. They're grounded in systemic racism. They're grounded in like real issues that our country has to tackle. And so to me, there is no bigger challenge than providing an equitable education to every kid in this country. And I think I am renewed with the sense of possibility that, we can keep going to tackle that, and that there's so much brilliance out there in young people across the country that deserve to be, to shine. So, I stay motivated by that. And I think I'll be at ANET as long as I'm the right person for this job, and I'm the right person to serve the mission that we have.
Oh, that's great. Are there any, takeaway lessons from 10 years of looking at education on what we're doing right collectively, or what we're doing wrong, or just lessons from COVID? People see bright spots and then they see failures because of what the virus forced upon us.
So many lessons. I think one that we hold dear is leadership matters, really matters. Leadership in the classroom matters. Leadership at a school matters. Leadership at a district matters. Like the quality of that leadership and ability to have a vision, to motivate people behind that vision, to take steps and execute towards that vision, to communicate, to engage communities around a vision. Like it really does matter. It makes a difference. And then I think too, belief, like the belief in students, like you cannot be in education if you don't have a belief that every student in front of you can learn and can achieve at the highest levels. And where you have that belief, you see better outcomes. And that, kids know, like there's evidence to show that, like, if you give students a survey about their teacher, they're going to rate that teacher more accurately than the people who are observing the teacher. Like the kids sitting in classrooms know. They know which teachers they love and are great and are motivating them. They know which have room to grow. And so if you ask kids what they think, like they will tell you. And if we listen to them, like we will make a better education system.
Can you teach the leadership that you need, or do you need to bring it in?
I think you can teach it. I think you can teach it. You can coach it. I think education doesn't always have the infrastructure that business has to provide that kind of coaching and training. And it also has different incentives as a public system. But it's absolutely, it's all teachable.
Yeah. How about you, Gina? Any big lessons? Like you've been at this trying to, I don't know if you're changing the system, right? You guys are trying to build a new system that helps people through, but any takeaways from what we need to do better in this world for helping mothers?
I would think that I don't think we're trying to build a new system. I think for us, we are trying to work with the existing healthcare infrastructure. We're not, adding new providers on top, for example. We're trying to help a pregnant woman who gets, severe headaches in her third trimester to go see her doctor. And improve that relationship. And we do, like, at a part of what we're doing though is training health plans and training employers how to think differently. Especially, Emma, you talked about how COVID has changed. How, these plans have come to you for very different reasons. It's the same as our employer clients, for example. We are introducing new services on how to make a decision about sending your kid back to school or going back to work, and coaching people through those very personal decisions. But in terms of what I've learned is that, similar to Emma, like people are very coachable. Like there's no greater time to make a change about your health than when you're pregnant. You're very motivated.
Yeah.
Everything, even if you have substance abuse disorder, for example, they'll tell you that's the window of opportunity to make a change and to get people engaged in a program is early pregnancy, because you want to do everything you can. It's no longer you, it's this little baby. So I feel very similar to Emma in that this is this time where you can make a true impact on someone's life. You're going to give someone a healthy mom. You're going to help somebody, have a better family relationship, like a relationship with their partner or with the family, whatever that family is. And you could, make a difference in someone's long-term well-being by just helping somebody through the decisions of, what is eating healthier, or going on a walk, or choosing the right provider that's going to listen and respect you. Amidst all of the challenges, as Emma mentioned, are in education, the same are in healthcare.
Wow, cool. Well, I'm kind of running out of questions. The one thing that is interesting to me, looking at just hearing this conversation, is I remember the mission of Harvard Business School is to teach leaders who make a difference in the world. And I gotta say, I'm impressed. I didn't really realize how much a difference you guys are making. So I really appreciate you spending time to talk to me and to tell people about what you're doing. And, I feel kind of inspired that the world can get better. And I'll see you guys later.
Thanks. Great catching up with you.
Great to see you. Yeah, really appreciate you guys doing this.
I don't know where the baby went.
All right. Take care, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.